Here's an overview of how practice by numbers helps practices grow and be more profitable. This here is your main page. Everyone in the office can have their own login. We have multiple ways to view practice by numbers. So this is just the browser. I just went to the website, signed in, and I'm here. We have the web app, which should be downloaded on all the computers in the office. That way it's easy to get to things. We also have the mobile app. So that way if the office or anyone in the office needs to access information on the go, they can access from their cell phone. Now here on your login screen, this is just where the team can easily see whatever action may be needed or whatever notifications came through. When you scroll down, you get a quick summary. So this just shows you your production, collections, how many patients you've seen on different time frames. So this main page is just a quick summary. Practice IQ is where our analytics live. So Practice IQ is where we give you data so that way that office can understand what's going on in the office, and then from there we give you the tools to do something about it. So Practice IQ is where we're pulling the data directly from the practice management software to give an easier read to identify where there's opportunities and just get an overview of what's going on in the practice. So here on the main page, this is where you can easily see production. It also breaks down patient retention to treatment acceptance, hygiene and retention, AR, and your revenue loss. So this is a pretty good pulse on what most offices want to know. We call these the essentials, but then we also allow you to dig a little bit deeper. So for example, if you're looking at production, you can easily see your gross production, adjusted collections, and what the projections are. But then if you want to dive deeper, you can click into this detail, and this is where you can easily see hygiene versus doctor production. If you click in once, you can see production by service type. One more click would get you down to code level data. So it goes as deep as you need it to. We also give graphs, so that way you can get a good visual on what's going on as well. And so that's just one example, but you can dig into any of these reports. So if you're looking at patient retention, of course, here it breaks down like the new patients from active patients. When you click into the detail panel, this is where you can easily see like your new versus reactivated versus inactive patients. It'll give you some of those key numbers you might want to look at here, as well as give a list. So it makes it easier to reach out to these patients. So these are just a couple examples of how to drill into these dashboards on the main page. We also have other dashboards. So the financial dashboard here, of course, just dives deeper into things like the collection ratio, the AR days. It goes into the AR detail by patient, as well as claims data by patient here. We also have your role-based dashboards. So for the doctors in the practice, this is where you can come here and get more detailed information such as their production by hour, their restoration crown ratio, their treatment acceptance, or their top production codes. Now you can look at this for any time frame, any specific date, and this is where you can easily filter by provider. You also do have the option here, as well as on any page, where if there's multiple locations, you can view them without having to switch back and forth. So that's all here. We also have your hygienist dashboard. So this just dives deeper into information for the hygienist, where it breaks down their production by hour, their pre-appointment rates, their perio percentages, and their top production codes. And same thing, you can look at this for any time frame, any specific date, and easily filter by hygienist here. So we also integrate with QuickBooks Online. So this just makes it a lot easier for practices to see what's going on the business side of things without having to go to QuickBooks Online separately. So this just breaks down the P&L, and then it gives a graph of the overhead by account. We have a ton of other dashboards, so depending on what they may want to dig into or dig deeper for, we have dashboards that are preset here. We can also customize dashboards. So if there's anything that our office may want to know that we don't have here, we can go in and create something custom for them. So that's Practice IQ. We also have Revenue IQ. Revenue IQ is where we start to take some of that data and put it into action. So over here, you have your revenue opportunities, and this is what most offices will look at on a regular basis. So of course, you have your ASAP list, which is pretty straightforward, just helps you all backfill appointments, get people in sooner. You also have your recall list. And then this is where you can easily identify where some of the bigger opportunities for the practice are. So this is where you'll see a lot of that unscheduled treatment. So that way you can create a plan to get them back in the door. So for example, here, you can see this office has about $201,000 out there in incomplete crowns. So when you click into this list, this is where we can get a little bit more specific. So this list is based on unfinished treatment, active patients, the 17 codes related to crowns for all their providers over the past year. But of course, if you want to get a little bit more specific, you can do that. So you can filter these lists by demographics or insurance situations or whatever way you need to make sure you're reaching out to the exact patients you need to. Now, once you have all your filters set, you hit search, and then you get that list of patients. So once you have the list, it's just a matter of how you want to reach out to them. So that's a big part of the analytics side. We also are integrating with some AI tools in a couple cool ways. One of them is our Practice IQ Assistant. And the best way to think about this is like a ChatGPT for your data. So this is a piece where it just makes the use of the system a little bit more convenient. So you can come here and ask us any question. So for example, we had an office ask, can you provide me with information on patients I saw last month? I want to compare simple extractions coded against surgical extractions. And so then when you scroll down, boom, you got your answer. And then it'll also give some follow-up questions. So if you want to compare this by industry averages or compare between providers, it gives some follow-up questions there. Or like in Revenue IQ, if you want to build a list, but you want a very easy way to do it, you just type in whatever list you want. So for example, this list is find patients over 55 with incomplete crowns. And then you have your list here. And once you go to Revenue IQ, this is where you get to the next step that I'll explain. So that will bring you to this list. And so once you have your list of whoever you want to reach out to for whatever reason, you can do a couple things. So one of them is creating tasks for your team. So they'll be able to click into here, create task. They can title the task for what it is, assign it to team members, set a date on it. And that way the team has a very organized system for following up with patients. So it keeps them organized, but it also gives management a way to get insight into what the team is doing. The nice thing about having our phones integrated is that, say you're going to call this patient, you want to call Mark, you click Mark's name, you click this call button, it's going to connect to the phone, you make your call. Once you're done, if you need to leave any kind of notes about the patient, you can store them in here. These will write back into the practice management software. Once you close out, you just check it off and you're on to the next. So again, it just creates a much more organized system for the team. So that's one thing you can do from these lists. You can also go in and create campaigns. So this is where we lean more into the communication side. So this is where you can take whatever list you create and you can send out an email, bulk text, or do both. They're all very easy to set up. So say you wanted to do just an email. You would click email only, select add, and then there's a few ways you can create these messages. So you can either create your own, you can utilize AI to help you write the message, or utilize one of our templates. So we have a ton of templates here, depending on what you want to send out. So this is where you can utilize these, or again, use your own that you may already have. Now, outside of that, these will be more like a custom campaign, but we also have like your follow-up campaign. And this is what you will likely run on like a regular basis. So we have these automated campaigns for things such as recall. So this is where we can have reminders going out before and after the recall date. For example, here, 15 days before the recall date, there'll be a task for our team members to make a call, and then an email and text will go out. 15 days later, an automated email and text will go. And so we'll give you our, recommendations and what works, but we can also tailor this for what makes sense for that office. And this is just an example for a recall campaign. We can also do this for a lot of other scenarios. So whether it's unscheduled treatment or canceled appointments, reactivation campaign. This is basically setting up a sequence to easily reach out to patients to get them back in the door without creating extra work for that team. We also have your standard campaigns. So we have your appointment reminders, which are straightforward. We have the review request campaign to get reviews for the practice automatically. And we can also send out automated post-op instructions. So this is nice because it's a nice level of customer service for those patients. So we'll set these up by treatment type, and then we'll customize it by code. And this is a preview of what it can look like. So as you see here, this is where we can add in photos or videos from our content library to make it as personal as the office wants. And this just goes out automatically whenever the appointment is completed in the practice management software. Next, I want to talk through forms. So this is where our forms live. The forms are automated. So whenever an appointment is created, the forms will automatically get sent to that patient. When the patient completes them, they automatically write back into the practice management software. So we do have templates here. These are all very easy to edit and change if needed. So that's easy to do. We also can create new forms if needed. And then the consents live here as well. Forms are pretty straightforward. The best thing about our forms is how customizable and tailored they are. Also, when it comes time to update forms, we'll set the frequency for how often the office wants them updated, and then these will just automatically go out when they schedule within that time frame. Let's talk online scheduling. So we do offer that. Again, a big point here is that we make it as customizable as possible because each office is somewhat unique in how they want to set up their calendar and their scheduling. So we give options to set it up by, what days of the week they're available, which chairs, which providers, which types of visits. We can even filter through. So let me hop here. So we can block out certain patients with certain tags. Or if certain patients start to schedule but always end up canceling, you can decide how strict or lenient you want to be with allowing them to continue to schedule. So the online scheduling is pretty straightforward and it's customizable based on the office's needs. We also do sync with their calendar in the practice management software. So that way they can see everything here. It will show their calendar by operatory column or by provider. Another useful piece for offices is the huddle. So the huddle is great because it keeps everybody on the same page for what's happening that day. Here at the top, they'll get to see how they're trending towards their production goals. The AR due box will show them who's coming in for the day that has an overdue balance. That way they can click into this box and get a list of that patient with their balance. They can also see who's coming in that needs treatment scheduled and unscheduled family members. So that's all here in one place. When they scroll down, they'll get the schedule for the doctors. And this is where it just kind of goes into more detail about that patient. You can also access your huddle here. So this gives a little bit more detail. So this allows them to see the previous day's numbers all in one place. The today view, very similar to what I just showed, where it breaks down what's going on for that day in terms of scheduled patients, new patients, outstanding AR, treatment pending, unscheduled family, and then again, you get the schedule for the day. So a couple things to note, you'll know when the patient has confirmed, when they have been verified, if they have any pending forms, and it also alerts if they have a birthday coming up or just passed or if they're a new patient. And then when you click in the patient's name, this is where you'll get the full breakdown. So this is where it'll give an overview of all information, including family info. You'll see account history, so service history and upcoming appointments. If they're on a treatment plan, that will be broken down here. You'll get a log of activity, so all text messages, phone calls, emails, tasks, and we're going to automatically write back the text messages and the log of the call back into the practice management software. We also do insurance verification, so that information will filter in here, so it's all in one place. And then again, any other information regarding their forms or any documents they upload, they can again store notes here. These write back into the practice management software. They can make calls, send text messages, send emails, all from one place. And this is anytime you either open the patient's name from the huddle or a task, or if you go into the patient finder here at the top and search their name. Another cool thing is that that's what pops up whenever a patient calls in. So we do have our call pop. And the call pop is great because right when the patient calls in, you'll see their name and number. And then when you click the show info button, this box here that we just showed pops up with all that information. So anything relevant that may come up on that call will literally be right there at their fingertips. So they don't have to go searching for the information. With our calls, we have a few ways to get data on calls. Here is where you'll get to see information about the call log, any voicemails they may have. They'll have their contacts here, as well as their fax. So this is where you can send and receive fax. So this is all in one place. And then if you want more detail on what's happening on calls, Call AI is great for that, because basically we have AI listening to calls and just gathering information to help those practices. And we do that through something called voice fingerprinting, so it acknowledges and recognizes the team members' voices. So a couple areas to point out. We do have the agent performance breakdown. So this just shows how well each team member is doing in certain areas. So that way an office knows like where a team member is doing great, but also where there may be room for improvement in different categories. You also do get a quick breakdown of each call. So you'll get the recording, you'll get the transcript. It'll also summarize those calls and automatically write that summary back into the practice management software. So that's part of the Call AI. Another great thing we do is marketing IQ. So this is great for offices that are doing any kind of marketing, running any kind of ads. And so a lot of times those offices don't have access to get a real ROI on how much or how what they're spending actually translates to revenue for the practice. So this is where they can see that. So this is where they can see how many leads have been generated from those ads, to patients scheduled, to appointments completed, to what that production actually is. So that way they get the true ROI per lead source. We also offer integrated payments. So we are PCI compliant. We can help them collect both in-office and online payments. We do provide them with a terminal. And when they're collecting a payment, it's going to automatically write back into the ledger in the practice management software. So it's nice to have everything all in one place, of course. So this is where they can see each transaction. It breaks down deposits to refunds to any kind of disputes. We also can send out automated messages to go out to any patients that have an overdue balance. So what we'll do is set that criteria for what that is. So making sure, there's a minimum or maximum balance, making sure they've seen a family member in the last, 30, 60, or however many days, making sure the claims have been closed. That way, when they fall into this criteria, they'll go into this sequence to get automated emails and texts to bring their accounts up to date. So this is a high level of how Practice by Numbers helps the practice just stay streamlined and just get everything done under one login.